Welcome back, everybody. In today's video, I am so excited to show you my new Montero, my new project car. I have wanted one of these for so long. I've owned so many Monteros. I'm talking dozens of them, but I've never owned one of these. This is a Gen 2.5. I'm gonna show you guys exactly why I love these. I can tell you the story of how I got this one, and I'm gonna talk about what's already been done to it and what I'm planning for it. So let me introduce you to my new to me Gen 2.5. So this is it. This is the one I've wanted. This is the one I've been waiting for. I finally found one that made sense for me to buy. This is my 1999 Gen 2.5 winter package. So if you're unfamiliar with this platform, let me walk through a couple of things I just said. So I said 2.5 because this is technically a Gen 2. And I've got another Gen 2 over there, the Montero, and this one is going to be a little bit different for two reasons. One, it's going to have a different fender flare. So it's going to have metal fender flares. That's the most obvious thing. As you look at the profile, it's got these flared, boxed out fenders that are actually made of metal. It's not going to be the tiny ones like are on the LS of the Gen 2, and it's also not plastic, it's actual metal. That's the biggest difference from what you can see here. Underneath the hood is the second biggest difference. This has a different 3.5 liter motor, and it's a little more reliable, a little more modern, and a little more powerful than the other Gen 2s. So I really like this platform. There's a bunch of modifications you can do to it. There's a bunch of things you can change about it to make it the ultimate Montero, in my opinion. But let me take you through this one. Now I'll get into the story of how I got this and the price I paid, but before we get any further, I have to address the elephant in the room. Yes, this is on 35-inch tires. These are basically brand new General Grabber tires, and they are 35 by 12.5, 17 on a steel wheel that's 8 inches wide, and this is a zero offset wheel. And I am running these completely stock. That's right, this model fits a 35-inch tire completely stock. Now, when I say that, there's a little bit of modifications. I have cranked up the torsion bar in the front, which I'll talk about in a little bit of exactly what I did to do that, or maybe in another video. So I've cranked up the torsion bar a little bit, so there's actually more room in the front than there is in the rear. The rear is stock, and this one's just cranked up, but I haven't changed any components. And I came in here and I just bent this fender back just a little. I just stuck a 2x4 in here and ever so slightly pushed that back. And that's all I have had to do to clear 35-inch tires. That's incredible. Name another car that you can do that on that isn't a full-size pickup. This is so rad. So it looks great, but it's not gonna stay like this. I've got plans to lift the rear. I'll probably leave the front. I think that's plenty of lift in the front. But the other thing I did is I removed these running boards. So there's side steps that come down here. I took those off the very first day I got this running. I said, I don't want those. Gives me more ground clearance. I'm not afraid to step up into a vehicle. And so that's how I'm fitting 35s on this. But that's almost all I've done. The only other thing I've done is I tinted the front window. I just really like the whole blacked out look. Other than that, I've done nothing to this car. And I am so excited to take you guys through the whole build as I go through every single component of what I'm going to do to this Gen 2.5. So the story of how I got this thing is pretty incredible. It's very much like the other stories I have of getting Monteros for super cheap. I bought this thing for $500 and it has 150,000 miles on it. Now, if you're gonna get one that cheap, you're gonna pay to play. So it didn't come with a title, catalytic converters, an alternator, a battery, a hood, or any fuses. So this is like full on, somebody picked this thing apart for parts. I have no idea why. I don't know why they were going after that. I don't know why it was parked, but I picked this up for 500 bucks. I titled it here in Montana with a bonded title. It's in my name. I've got it. It's registered. It's good to go. And then I got to figuring out what parts it actually needed. So I stole the exhaust system off of another car, and then I grabbed a battery from the parts store, grabbed an alternator off of my parts shelf, and I started putting it together. I threw all the fuses in, and lo and behold, this thing fired up, no problem. But that was only half the battle. I expected it to have rod knock. It didn't. I expected the transmission to slip. It didn't. I expected something to be wrong with it. Why would you park this car with 150,000 miles and just leave it? Literally nothing is wrong with it. I've been daily driving it for 2 months now, and it just works. I can't hardly believe it. I thought this was gonna be something that I was gonna have to part out. I thought I'll take a gamble on it, let's see what happens, and it's worked out great. Now that being said, it's not perfect. Like I mentioned, it came without a hood, so I was able to get a hood from another car, but it's got a little bit of rust on it, but that's better than no hood at all. And the bodywork is far from perfect. It's got a pretty good dent here. That's not great. It's got a little bit of some schmutz back here. It's really hard to tell on the camera. It's obviously just dirty, but also there's just some grime. I think that'll mostly buff out, but it's had some bad stickers on it that have left some residue and crap that's kind of hard to figure out. It's got this dent right here. It's just, you know, cosmetically, it does leave some to be wanting. No major dents, no major rust. The bumper is a little tweaked back here, but I actually have an extra bumper that I'll be putting on in a future video. Saving this little end might be the hard part. I might try to heat it up and pull it out, but it obviously took a hit back here. That side's damaged. This side is fine. And when I got it, it was full of trash. I mean, it was obvious someone had just trashed the thing. And so the carpets are pretty rough. It doesn't smell in here, which is amazing, but they're definitely stained. So I got to deep clean that, but right now I've got floor mats down. But look at these seats. I mean, listen, they're nothing crazy, but like these seats don't have a single tear in them. The interior is all complete. There's nothing weird, nothing broken. The headliner's even okay. I swapped in one LED to that. Sunroof doesn't work, but none of them do. I mean, this thing is actually in pretty good shape for what it is. It's needed a few little trim pieces, like you can see over there. The ashtray is out of a different car. Not that it really matters, but it's better than a hole. And then back here, it's even got this floor mat that is really nice. I did take out the back seats. It came with back seats, but I just deleted them because I don't need to haul 7 people. But I mean, for $500, I would expect this thing to be hammered, to be beat on, and it's really not that bad. Now, personally, I like my cars to have a little bit of body damage. Not a lot. I'm not trying to trash them, but when they're just not perfect enough that you can't really be mad when you scratch them up or you beat them up, it allows you to have so much more fun with them. It's not something where you're going through some trees or a tight trail and you're like, oh, my paint. Like, you can just let it go. And that's what these cars are all about for me. I don't want to have a ton of money into the perfect paint job where it's like I'm afraid to take it off road. I'd way rather have fun. And so a couple dings here and there, I want to fix them. I want to make sure that there's paint on the places that are going to rust. But even then, like I'm okay with it the way it is. I think it looks really good. Most of the big important things are there. Obviously, getting the hood back on there, that was essential. But like, it looks great. So let's talk about why the 2.5 is my ideal Montero. Why, even though I have a fully built Gen 2 right there, I have a fully built Gen 3 at home, this is the one that I've wanted. And let's start with styling. One, I love the way it looks. That's not everything to me, but I just think this is the best looking Montero out of all of them. The boxy fender flares, the way they've done all of this is metal. So this is metal. Down here, this is trim, like plastic trim on the older Gen 2s. That's been replaced with metal. That's actually a vinyl wrap. Granted, not in great condition, but I just love that it kind of keeps this, there's more metal on here than the previous years of the Gen 2, and yet it's a newer car. That to me is so important for the styling of this. I think it looks good. It's also gonna last a lot longer. But the big reason that I really love this one is underneath the hood. So right here, this is the newer 24 valve 3.5 liter engine that came in the later generations of Montero, and it actually came in the early generations of the Gen 3. So this motor is going to make a little more power, not as much as the 3.8, but I'll talk about that in a little bit. But this one is going to have a lot more power in a lot smaller package than my old SR, and definitely more power in a better package than the other 3.5s that came in the Gen 2. Now, it's nothing to write home about. It's still very simple. It's not that great of a motor. Like, it's not making tons more power. But what I love about it is it's the best of both worlds. I get a more modern engine, one of the more modern engines in a Montero, in the best looking body style. But the really good part for me is that if this motor ever blows up, or if I end up getting a good deal on one and I want to replace it, the 3.8 bottom end and heads will actually bolt into this, and all of these accessories can go on it. So what that means is I can upgrade this to a 3.8 liter very easily. Now, for some people, you say a motor swap of that caliber is not easy in any department, but I've rebuilt enough motors. I've swapped a ton of Montero motors. That's really not the concern. The big benefit is I don't have to change the ECU. I don't have to change motor mounts. I don't have to do any of that crazy hardware stuff. I just find a good block and heads and I get to slap all these accessories on and I will get way more power. And that was my original plan when I bought this. I thought for sure that this had thrown a rod. And so I thought, well, if I can at least get it moving around, I can see if it's even worth saving. And then once I figure out the motor's bad, I'll swap a 3.8 into it. But this has 150,000 miles on it and it's fine. So it wasn't my intention, but I'm gonna keep this motor in it for now. The other thing I really like about the 2.5s is because it has that better motor, it comes with 4.3 gears from the factory. Normally 4.3s would be worse. So that's the rear diff and the front diff are both geared at 4.3. However, you can swap in a Montero Sport axle and you can get to 4.9. And if you factor in the stock tire ratio to the gear ratio that it comes with, 4.9 will turn these 35s at the same mechanical advantage that the original motor, original gears turned the original tires. So this is the same thing I have on my Gen 3 and it works flawlessly. You're gonna still take a hit on gas mileage because the tires are huge. I don't really care about that. What I really care about is I want it to stay cool when it's going up mountain passes. I want it to be daily drivable and I want it to be good at rock crawling. So even though, yes, these 35s clear, they actually fit in this wheel well, there's a lot more work to be done to run it reliably and actually make it something that I can take off road. Because right now, even though I can fit these tires, this is not gonna like climbing up big rocks and big mountain passes at slow speeds. Now, I mentioned earlier that this is a winter package, and to my knowledge, there's two really big advantages to a winter package. The first one is going to be this guy right here. This has a rear air locker. Just like the SRs, you can actually lock up the rear of this thing. That is so valuable. These axles are basically bulletproof up to like a 37 or even a bigger tire. I can't fit bigger than a 37 in here. So that's exactly what I want. And then adding a front locker makes this thing triple locked and it'll go just about anywhere. But that's a huge advantage because that can cost between $1,500 and $2,000 to add a locker later on. So to have it come from the factory and have it for 500 bucks, that's amazing. The other thing is really funny to me. It comes with heated seats, which is great. But what I think is funny is this is the most inconvenient switch of all time. So if I'm sitting here in the driver's seat and I have my arm up here, like you can't reach it at all. So you have to pull this back and then you've got to go straight down to adjust it. Or if this armrest is down, you have to reach behind and come in from this angle to operate the heated seat. It's absolutely ridiculous, but the heated seats do work. They're fine, so I'm glad to have it. It also has the same transmission that comes in the Gen 2, and it's got the same manual transfer case with all the same options. That's really good. And then there's your rear diff locker. I am just so thrilled. Everything on this car works. It's all exactly what I was hoping for, and I am thrilled that I'm into this platform for so cheap. So I've mentioned several times that this is the one for me. This is the dream Montero. This is the one I want. It's even the right color for me. I basically have white and blue cars. That's not exactly how I intended it, but I really do like white. The blue thing just kind of happened to me. All the cheap ones are blue, but either way, I'm thrilled about the color. This is the one for me. Not only is it the right price, it's the right generation, and it's in great condition for what it is. So let's talk about exactly where I'm going with this, because I have so many Monteros. I've done so much with the Montero platform. What's the plan for this guy? So right now, the plan is I want to build this into the ultimate overlanding vehicle. I already have a rock crawling Montero, as I've mentioned several times, over there, the Montero, and that thing has been great, but I'm ready to move on from that and build the Mighty Max, which is tucked away back in the corner there, into something that's even more capable. And I want to build a Gen 2 that just goes everywhere. I want it to have the same capability basically as the Montero to hit really hard trails, but I want to take it on adventures that are way more scaled down. That way it's way overbuilt for the task. Now my Gen 3 does this and it's great, but I like the Gen 2 platform way more. After living with both of them for almost half a decade apiece, about 5 or 6 years apiece, this is just way more reliable. It's way more bomb-proof. My Gen 2, I've taken it on some crazy stuff. There's not a single squeak or any kind of creaks in it or anything weird. They've got their quirks, and I'll go over that in my next video, but they're so much more reliable when you take them out off-road and you actually beat them up. And that's what I want. The Gen 3's been great, but every time I take it off-road, I'm nervous about the electronics. It doesn't have enough flex. It doesn't have lockers. And in order to get that one where I want it, I could pretty much build this one entirely out. And so it's like, let's just do the one I want. So very simply, let me run through some basic overviews of the plans for this. I already mentioned that I lifted it in the front. I'm about to lift it in the rear. That will be either the next video or the video after that. I've got some springs coming for that, some level springs from Lusso Overland. I want to do full armor from the front back. I want to install a winch, and I also want to do a roof rack. I'm talking to a guy who makes a platform rack for this. So I want to have a roof rack that actually goes all the way to the front, that integrates well into the roof line. This has been a difficult roof line for me to figure out a roof rack for because it's so differently shaped. And so I want to do that, and I want to put a Go Fast camper on it pretty much all summer. That'll be the plan, to live out of that. And then I want to build the back out to be a more overland focused build. I'm not 100% sure what it'll look like, but I don't think I'll build a platform for sleeping back here. I think my intention will always be to camp on the roof. That allows me to do a lot of different things with the space versus my other cars. I've slept inside of them, and that's worked out great for my wife and I. But as we look forward to maybe having kids one day, I'm thinking that's got to go. We'll do something different. I want to sleep on the roof. I want to sleep on a ground tent. Let's leave this for overlanding. I also want to do sliders, and I want to figure out something for the rear here, whether it's replacing this bumper or maybe building another one. But I really do like the way these look stock. Even though you can get some front bumpers and people have made cool rear bumpers, it does really look good stock. And so if I can keep it stock but make it stronger, that's kind of my first preference. And I'm sure some of you are going to say, why don't you just make the Montero into more of an overlanding rig? And the reality is I could do that, but I like the Gen 2.5 for a handful of reasons. One, like I said, I like the styling. Two, the motor. And the third one is this one doesn't have a body lift yet. And I can't take the body lift out of the Montero because I cut the frame and I raised it, which is phenomenal for rock crawling, but I don't want to body lift this one. I want to keep it as low as possible while being able to reliably run 35s and clear them and go through rocks. But because I want to use it mostly as an overlanding rig, I don't need it to be nearly as big as the Montero. The Montero does great for what it is, but to make it back into an overland rig and kind of dumb it down for that, it just feels wrong. It's built perfect to be an off-roader rig, and so I just want to leave it like that. The other thing I'm not 100% sure I'm going to do on this is transfer case gears. It's a big job. It costs a ton of money. And so I'm not 100% sure that I want to do that. I also might not need it because of the different gear ratio and the engine size. Because in the Montero, you're running 4.6 gears from the factory, so the jump to 4.9 isn't that significant. The transfer case gears really make it come alive. This one going from 4.3 to 4.9, that's a lot better mechanical advantage. So this might do just fine just with diff gears and not actually changing the transfer case gears. So there you guys go. That's the Gen 2.5. That's where I'm headed with this build. And I'm really excited about this one because you guys actually haven't really seen me build a car on the channel. Most of the time I'm showing you vehicles that I've already built, but this one I'm gonna go step by step and hopefully film and document as much of the build process as I can. I'm gonna go over the lockers. I'm gonna go up how to remove the differentials, how to set up the lockers, how to reinstall them, what I think about them. I'm gonna talk about lift differences, clearance issues. I'm gonna talk about building armor for it, the whole 9 yards. My plan is to take you guys along for the entire thing. So with that, I hope you guys are as stoked as I am. If you're excited to see this thing get built, go ahead and subscribe. I'll be posting videos all summer about it, whether it's taking it out on adventures and testing the stuff I'm installing or actually doing the build. But thanks so much for tuning into this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.